Hello there, how are you? I hope that you are having a fantastic day. I know it's been a minute. Been a little bit more than a minute, shall we? But I want to thank you for taking time out of your day, because I know that life has been crazy, and I hope you've been doing well, that you've been staying happy and healthy, and that everything is going the way that you want. Just with getting back into hopefully a little bit more of a new routine, more normalized routine. So I wanted to come on here and do an update on Pan That Palette, since I believe the last time I updated was in June, but I'm I want to approach my channel with like new beginnings, because I know my schedule has opened up a little bit. I have some more flexibility to film, so I'm really looking forward to putting out some more videos. I have a list of things that I want to get filmed. But on the Pan That Palette note, if you're new to my videos, I have been doing a hybrid of Pan That Palette / Pan Those Eyeshadows, where I want to hit 3 pans of shadow in each palette. So that way I still stay in my routine of doing a capsule makeup wardrobe and really get comfortable with formulas, but hopefully it gives me more of an opportunity to use more things out of my collection. So that being said, today, if you are into seeing inspiration from pan showing in palettes, or wanting some motivation on ideas of different things that have worked well for me, and if you're wanting to shake up your makeup routine, this is going to be the video for you, because I thought it would be fun to go back and revisit all of the different shadows and palettes that I've used throughout 2021, to just kind of give myself a fresh start and, you know, a strong motivational finish to get through the rest of the year, and just kind of take things as they go and think about what I'm going to be panning into 2022. So that being said, let's go on and start out with the palettes that I've been working on for the past couple of months, because when I updated you last time, I had been working with Natasha Denona Triochrome, kind of on the side, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. I also had the Colourpop Grandeur palette and the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette. So let's kind of go on and talk about those. As far as the Natasha Denona Triochrome palette, I believe that I'd maybe hit pan and Gorman, maybe I'd hit pan and Vertex, but as you can see from where I am right now, I have hit my 3 pans. They were in particular with Gorman, with Vertex, and with this beautiful fuchsia plummy purple shade over here called Manganese. I really enjoyed this palette, and the more time that I spent with it, the more that I learned how to love it. The color story is a little bit out there, and in particular, I guess the shade that really kind of took me by the biggest surprise was Gorman over here, because it's a warm brown, but there's a lot of rose to it, and I think Natasha Denona's intention with that was so that it would stand up well when pairing shades like the greens down here. Like, I know the mint shade's going to come off really light and bright white right now on camera, but in person it is a soothing mint. But one of the things that I've noticed about using the Natasha Denona formula is that if you start trying to put like 4 or 5 shadows together, they tend to come across really muddy as you're trying to blend them. So you have to be very intentional with what you use. And I thought, if you have like a rosier shade of transition, it definitely stands its own ground without overpowering shades like wearing these greens and such. So that was a really fun find. Vertex was just an easy highlighting shade. It's a matte creamy white. There is nothing to write home about. It did the job. I hit pan. I got excited to move on to other things, but like I said, it worked. When I finished kind of hitting pan in this Vertex shade, I actually moved into using my L'Oreal single, Color Reach single in the color Paris Beach. I have a couple of these in my backup stash, so since it's much glowier than that highlight, I really enjoyed getting back into that routine, but this was nice while I used it. The other shade that I was really impressed with was this Manganese shade right here, which is an easy, it's a fuchsia, but it has a little bit more blue to it. It's super flattering on brown eyes. I loved wearing this in my crease, and when I would do green looks, I would wear it on my lower lash line, but this is what that looks like in person. It is a beautiful shade that still comes across very neutral, but it's that pop of zhuzh that you would want to a look. I would use it along with this didactic shade to blend everything out of my crease. And then I would go through my next palette. Let's talk about the Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral palette, because that's what got me really into loving this palette, was the gorgeous coral shade down here. And when I updated you on this palette last time, I don't think, maybe I'd hit pan on this, but I certainly didn't have the other things going on here. So as we segue into this coral shade, I really loved this all over my lid. It was a sunset vibe with the Natasha Denona Triochrome. It was neutral, but had that pop of glam and color. It was something that wasn't just basic brown. It definitely attracted attention. It looks super gorgeous, you know, and striking against wearing face masks when we're out in public. It was just lovely. I loved that whole combination. So if you have these two palettes, definitely try them out together, because it was super, super lovely. Now, one thing I've noticed about the Juvia's Place formula, I'm curious if you've had this experience as well, the shimmers are like so difficult to apply when you first start using them. I had to try several different methods out, from using a sponge tip applicator to foiling, trying different brushes, using my finger. And when I was able to kind of get down a couple of layers into the shadow, I had no problems using a brush, but that was something interesting. And I'm noticing the same things happen with these two shades that I'm now working on, these two silvers. I love to mix them together. It's actually what I'm currently wearing on my lids, because when I got these new frames from Firmoo, I really kind of wanted to shake things up to make them stand out, but still have my eye look not compete with it. In fact, not sponsored, I'm not given any compensation, but I purchased these glasses from Firmoo.com. I'll put some information in the description box below. But when I purchased, I actually picked up 2 pairs of frames, and when my box came, they actually included a coupon card for return customers. It's for 50% off frames using the code Sunshine50. I do not receive any compensation. It's SUNSHINE number 50 to get 50% off a pair of frames, and you've got till October 31st, 2021 to check out the website. I've been in the mood to try out some new frames, and Firmoo has quite a big selection of new styles and colors and different things. So these are cat eye frames. I also picked up a pair that have kind of a leopard action going on the top and clear on the bottoms. Super fun, super cute, very different from what I've worn in the past. And so I thought that I would share that, because typically Firmoo, when they offer discounts, it's usually only for first-time customers. And so if you've already shopped from the website before, it's nice to have that incentive. Just a little blurb on that. Between the 2 pairs of glasses, I spent $79. I did not get the discount until I received the box in the mail. So just to kind of give you a heads up of what prices might look like. And that was purchasing frames with my prescription, and then I added on a couple upgrades on top of it, like blue light protection, the anti-scratch, and things like that. So anyways, back to Juvia's Place. That was the whole segue to like get into the silver eyeshadow. I know, long-winded, but whatever. In any case, now I've been working on these 2 silver shades in attempts to kind of hit pans 2 and 3. But before we get there, this shade over here, holy moly, I love this. So let me angle the palette the correct way, so if you have this in your collection at home, you can see. But it's this beautiful matte corally rosy tone shade over here next to the matte brown. Or no, it's not a matte brown, it's a shimmery bronzy, deep bronzy brown. But I love that shade. I loved it on my eyes, and in particular, the reason that I hit pan in it is because I used it as a blush. It is quite, let me get a sip of my iced coffee here. It is very, very similar to MAC Blush in Peaches. It has a little bit more of a rosy tone to it, because if you can tell, I'm actually wearing MAC Peaches today, and this color comes off quite similarly on my skin. So it was very, very easy for me to reach for this on a daily basis. I would use it to blend out my crease on my eyes. I would also take my blush brush after I would finish my makeup completely, and then I would just tap one tap into the shadow, and then I would run a quick swipe over each eye just to add a little bit of warmth back into the look, and it was just stunning. So FYI, perfect blush right here. Now that I've gotten into the silver look, I wanted to give this shadow a rest, so I've actually been moving into this matte orangey shade down here, which it's pretty orange. I feel like I've actually got it going on right here in my crease that I've been wearing with this look. It's pretty orange, but you can blend it out and make it quite a bit more subtle and actually quite flattering. So don't be afraid of it. When you first put it on, it is very autumnal, it is very dark, it is very vibrant, it is very bright, but it is a shade that you can work with. So I wanted to share that tip with you. And the other shadow that I have been trying, but I know that as far as matte shadows go, it takes a long time to hit pan. But this matte reddish brown right here, it is what I actually, oh, my nose itches. It's actually what I have going on in my crease, and then I've smoked it out with a deeper espresso brown in the corner. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I've actually, I've learned to also really love this palette, because at first, I mean, I thought it was pretty, but I didn't see myself necessarily going for these silvers. But now that I'm noticing, actually, I take that back. The inspiration for me wearing the silvers was starting to see the reviews on Natasha Denona's, I want to say it's the Xenon palette. It has the gray, the silver, the deep black shade, and I was like, I can totally do that with what I have at home. Like, don't get sucked in, because I love Natasha Denona's formula. But I was like, don't get sucked in, let's use what we have. And this immediately came to the brain because it's something in my drawer, and I was like, all right, I need to hit pan number 3. So let's go for it and do it. That's where I am with Juvia's Place. The other palette that I made so much progress in, I'm very proud of myself. I pulled, using the random number app, the Colourpop Grandeur palette. And this was a palette that when I first started using it, I'm gonna be real honest, I was not impressed. However, that being said, once I found my staple look, I wish the Colourpop offered this palette on a permanent basis, because it is just beautiful. When I put it up to update last time, I had used it maybe a couple of times, but now I know. I'm impressed. Like, this is my go-to work palette. I can come up with the easiest matte eye look that it goes with everything. And even though I have to wear a face mask and cover up whatever fabulous lip product I've decided to wear that day, I've worn this with red lipstick, I've worn it with berry lipstick, I've worn it with My Lips But Better, I've worn it with plums. I mean, it's so good. I love this palette. What I would do is I would first go in with this really warm matte brown over here called Dusk. It is deeper than something like MAC's soft brown. In fact, it took me a little bit to get used to it. I would start off with this shade, and then I would go through with this. This is a completely neutral brown called, is this Dusk? No, Velvet, I'm sorry. It's not warm toned, but it's not cool toned. It's just straight up neutral. But on my lid, it would come across like flesh toned. It was super easy. I love just kind of using it as an anchor to my look, but I would pat it all over my lid. And then I would go through with this warmer brown over here in my crease. And then I would come down to this matte brown down here called Jolie, and I would knock off the glitter, because when you have these Colourpop shadows, it's kind of like using LORAC. If they have shimmer to them, if you tap your brush into the color and then knock off the excess, all of the glitter falls away. And so it behaves like a matte shadow. So I was able to use this in my brows. I was able to use this as a liner. I would use this to deepen up my outer corner. Now I'm back using one of my stragglers, my Maybelline Single in Made for Mocha. And I've got another palette that I'm going to show you in just a minute that I'm kind of working out of to make some progress. But I actually learned to really love and appreciate this shadow, because at first I was not impressed. Now, that being said, I'm sure you're wondering why we have an empty pan in the middle. No, I did not use it. Oh wait, let me rephrase it. I did not use it in totality. I tried this gold shade that was here called Excess, was a really brittle, glittery mess. And I tried to wear it a couple of times, and every time it was so uncomfortable. I had a lot of eye irritation because the flecks of glitter would go everywhere, and I was like, I don't have time for this. And the other thing that was just super annoying about it was every time I would open up this palette, there would be like loose flecks of glitter that were like going into the other shadows, and I was just like, you're done, you're done. So I scraped it out, put it in the garbage, and I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. If you have this palette in your collection, give it a try for work or school, because like I said, the matte look I would come up with, I loved. And I would accent it, I would put a little bit of shimmer on my eyes, because as I mentioned before, I would pull out this L'Oreal Color Riche shadow single in Paris Beach, and it gave enough of a glow to my inner corner and my highlight that it stood up to the matte shadowiness of these colors going on. But I mean, it's just, this look is so incredible, and I received so many compliments on my makeup from women around me, and you know, it's just nice to have a go-to, like, easy staple routine of something you don't have to think about. And again, you can pair it with any lip combo that you want to wear in your collection, even though right now we're still you know, using face masks and things out in public for the most part. So all right, then that takes us into, I guess we could segue into Subculture. I was kind of quietly painting it on the side. When I updated you on this last time, I think that I had already finished. Had I finished Rowdy? I don't know, but either way, if you want to have some like empty pan inspiration, here we go. Subculture palette. The shade that I was working on the most out of here most recently was the Rowdy shade, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I did my best to find a dupe, and the closest thing that I personally could find that I liked wearing with the Natasha Denona Triochrome look that I was painting with the coral shade was the, that was almost tragic, but it was this Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow single in the shade Deep Plum. It's not, it's close to the Rowdy shade, but it doesn't have the blue that I missed, because Rowdy was just so flattering, and the Deep Plum is much more brown. It does the job, and it stood up well to the manganese shade. It looked beautiful with the coral shade, so I want to recommend this, and I was able to make a little bit of a well in it, so that's exciting. But definitely I miss the Rowdy shade on so many levels from this palette, but that's where we were with that. And then the most recent palette I've been working on that I didn't select through the random app. I just felt very drawn to use it. It's been something that's been in my collection for a long time. And that is the Milani Soft and Sultry palette. It has kind of gold packaging on the front, so I apologize for the fingerprints and for the glare, but it's an easy, everyday, neutral, cooler tone palette. And so as I started kind of, you know, hitting pan in the Colourpop Grandeur palette, I went in and started using this shade over here. Is it this one? Okay. I started using this shade over here as my transition. Now, granted, it is nowhere near as warm as the shade from the Colourpop Grandeur palette, but with a couple of layers that did the job. I wanted just enough depth where you could, you know, see my lid shade stand out a little bit more prominently, since the hood of my eyes does kind of come down pretty deeply. And so I like those transition shades to minimize the hooding. I also went through, once I hit pan in the matte brown gold shade from the Colourpop palette, I went through with this matte espresso brown down here, and I would use that in my brows. I would use that to deepen out my outer corner. I would use it as a liner, so that's how I was able to hit pan. And I also started going in consistently, instead of just sticking with the L'Oreal Color Riche shadow. Once I started this palette, this shadow is pretty similar as well. It's a glowy, creamy white, so this is what I have been using lately as my highlight on my brow bone and on my inner corners. It works super well, and it gives me another incentive to try to hit pan. And then I've been going down in the bottom row with these two liners, and funny enough, the middle shade, it's not even espresso brown. It's actually more of a grayish brown in person, but it's actually way deeper than the matte black that's in this palette. So what I like to do is I actually mix these two shades, and I use them to set a liquid liner on my eyes. It's what I've got going on today, and I thought, why not? That'll give me an opportunity to, you know, do my best to hit 3 pans, hopefully within the next couple of weeks to a month, maybe 2 months from now. So just wanted to share that with you. And again, I didn't choose that with my random number selector because Like I said, I needed to go with what was motivating, what I was feeling. And so I just went in my closet and I was like, all right, let's pull it out, enjoy it, and we'll see what happens. I mean, either way, I'm going for 3 shadows. So currently the look that I'm wearing, I'm only using these 2 palettes. And because I wanted a deeper warm brown than the one in the Milani palette, now that I've hit pan, I pulled out a single I had in my backup collection of MAC's soft brown. So in an attempt to work on some more things, that's what I wanted to pull out. And I have one more straggler shadow of things that I've been working on before we kind of recap the other palettes that I've worked on. And that is my Maybelline single in Made for Mocha. It's a little bit of a mess because it crumbled. So I've been doing my best to kind of work with it as is. So just every once in a while, I'll reach for this to give me some matte warm brown, like in my outer corner. Not matte warm brown. Matte espresso brown, like in my outer corner. I'm wearing it today on top of that silver shadow and the reddish brown shadow from Juvia's Place. And then sometimes I'll use it in my brows, but I'm really kind of trying to go through with the Milani palette right now. So that's where I am with things currently. And then just to recap, okay, old palettes that I used at the beginning of the year that I was able to hit pan in. First one, we had MAC in the Flesh. I have 3 shadows in here from that. 1, 2, and 3. I love, love, love this palette. I just, honestly, I needed a break from it. Just because like I got kind of burned out with MAC shadows at the beginning of the year. So that's 3 shadows, 6 shadows, because next palette is MAC Warm Neutrals. So we were able to hit 3 in here between 1, 2, and 3. So there we go. And when I hit pan in this gold, that segued into the LORAC Pro Soleil palette. Here's my 3 shades in here. Similar theme. We've got 1, 2, and 3. So that's already 9 shades that I've hit pan in. And then I'm trying to think. I also used my LORAC Mega Pro 3. And I think I only was using, no, I was using 3 because I used I really need to pull this palette out again because I really love it. I used Eggplant and hit pan. I used Hickory. I've hit pan and Cider, even though that pan is really, really tiny. And also Rose Quartz. So I've got 4 shades in there. So that's already 3, 6, 9, 13 shadows. Then 16, I mean technically 15 since I didn't use excess, but like 15 shadows. Of course, all these. And then I've got 17 with the 2 shadows I've hit pan in here. Then 18, 19, this makes 19. And 22 once we include Natasha Denona Triochrome. And then I've got my Made for Mocha eyeshadow single from Maybelline to make 23. So not bad. Hitting pan in 23 eyeshadows considering how up and down my makeup has been this year between either not wearing it because I didn't feel like it, or even when I stayed home because our family had COVID and we had to recover. I'm pretty impressed with my progress. So that about wraps it up for now. Be on the lookout because since I have more time to film, I actually have a list of ideas of videos that I want to go on and get cranked out. In fact, I'm hoping it'll be out within the next week or so, but I went on and I revamped like my thoughts on my makeup collection video because I actually had one filmed. And then when I decided to go on and post it, I was like, no, I feel like I need to do some more thinking on this. And I'm glad I did because my thoughts and opinions have kind of changed toward my makeup collection. And in fact, it's kind of inspired a project pan that I want to do over the next couple of months. So I hope you'll be interested and stay tuned and on the lookout for that. And then I also have some more updates. Also, would you be interested in seeing a kind of a loose favorites of makeup favorites and like other favorites of things that I've been loving lately, because I know those have been videos that have been very entertaining for me to watch. just because I've been curious of things, not only just within the beauty community of products that you are enjoying and loving, but things in your daily life that you might like. So I don't know, I thought that might be interesting as well, because I found a couple of staple products that have become everyday necessities in my life, and maybe they'll be helpful to you as well. And other than that, I need to get going. I've got a busy day ahead of me, and I know that you are busy as well. So until next time, take care, and I look forward to seeing you. I promise you it will not be a long stretch of break like it has been, because now I have a little bit more open space in my schedule to have some time to myself and do some filming. So until next time, adios.